cash.
History is not going to look kindly on the people who did not play Brock Bowers in cash. Almost no one did play Brock Bowers in cash. I texted Sammy and Nate this morning with the team that had Brock Bowers in cash. It was a pretty good team. Looked very comfortable. Jackson Dart, Christian McCaffrey, Tyrone Tracy, Kyle Monangai, Jamar Chase, Juwan Jennings, Brock Bowers in the Falcons defense with Michael Pittman Jr. But I decided that I absolutely had to have Rashee Rice. Boys, ended up being roughly an okay day. The team that Sammy and I played ended up being this. I don't remember the last time this happened. Sammy, the team you and I played was the last cashing team in the giant $50 double up. I haven't gotten to all my head-to-head results yet. I assume I probably lost like 30 to 40% of them because I lost to that 177.64 team. But this was, I think, a fairly interesting slate to talk about for cash because the top optimal teams all kind of relied on one thin wide receiver play, whether it be Juwan Jennings, whether it be Parker Washington, or whether it was Olamide Zaccheaus. Probably the most interesting thing about that was that they all three smashed. They all three went 5x their salary. Juwan Jennings had 14 points in the first half, did not record another reception. But let's just go back to the morning. Nate, did you ever consider playing one Mr. Brock Bowers in cash games?
I mean, as much as I love Brock, no, I didn't. There was no build that I liked with him. So the only thing I was really sweating was which of the cheap wide receiver plays I was going to play, and it was between Zaccheaus and Washington. I didn't like the Jennings Rice team.
I thought, well, we have plenty of time to get into it. So the team that everyone played this team. So the team that everyone played in double ups here, I'll pull it up in double ups so you guys can see the ownerships. So everyone played Jackson Dart at quarterback. Everyone good played McCaffrey. Everyone played one of Tracy, or I did see a certain amount of people did Henderson to get to the Texans defense. They played Trevion Henderson to get to the Texans defense over the Falcons. Rashee Rice was 40% owned. Jamar Chase was 71% owned. Juwan Jennings was 25%. Theo Johnson was 40%. Kyle Monangai was 90%. Falcons defense was 32%. Then there's this team, the 177.64, which is Dart, Henderson, Monangai, Puka, who was only 37% owned because so many people wanted to play Rice, Parker Washington, who was 38%, Chase, Theo, McCaffrey, and the Giants. Then there was a Juwan Johnson team in there that let you get in a different defense. But basically, your decision was this. Everyone knew to play Dart. Everyone knew to play McCaffrey. Everyone knew to play Chase. Everyone knew to play Monangai. There was Theo Johnson, Juwan Johnson at tight end. Then your decision was, okay, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to try and get Rice? The thing, it was so funny because I liked Rice better than Puka. Like almost like straight up. I was like, I would just rather play Rashee Rice, like because Puka is going to be dusted in the second half. The Rams are going to be up by $1 billion. The Chiefs are going to be throwing the whole game. Although it was very funny, the Chiefs throwing the whole game did not help Rashee Rice at all. But I guess we should break down Zaccheaus versus Washington versus Jennings. I thought it was clearly Juwan Jennings to the point that I was willing to make a worse play elsewhere to get there. Sammy, how did you feel about the cheap wide receivers?
Yeah, I felt the same. I felt like Juwan Jennings, who I think you pointed this out, had a 25% target share over the last 2 weeks. No Ricky Pearsall. Just liked him a lot more. Thought he had the ability to be an alpha in the way that Parker Washington and Zaccheaus did not. They're both cute little slot receivers. You hope they get 6 or 7 targets. Not a lot of touchdown equity with those guys. They both ended up scoring. Or no. Zaccheaus did. Parker Washington didn't. Parker Washington got a ton of targets. But I thought Jennings was the one guy who had like upside of this group and real like down the field chops. And I just, I did not like Rashee better than Puka straight up. I think Puka's kind of undefeated, and we frankly ran good for Puka to get dusted and not hit the bonus and all this because he had like 4 for 33 on the first drive. He had a 39-yard touchdown. Like he's just so freaking good when he plays.
He's the best. I'm not meaning to say anything negative about Puka. It was more about thinking that Zacchaeus and Parker Washington were super thin and that Rice was like the opposite of thin. Like
that's exactly what I thought. I thought the difference from Juwan Jennings to get up from that kind of sketch Zacchaeus Parker Washington tier was worth going down to Rashee Rice at wide receiver too. And honestly, I would have played if this lineup had the extra $100, I would have played Puka. You guys would have roasted me. I would have played Puka straight up over Jamar Chase.
I think that honestly, that probably would have been defensible. Like I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously like they're both in great spots, but Puka, just his floor is so insanely high. He just never goes a game without being completely involved in like a massive way, in a way that like other receivers, even Jamar Chase, that doesn't happen for him. Chase has the upside to get like 40 something points, but never disappears. So that was the big choice for me. I ended up making it, and this was really a slate of tilt because Juwan Jennings scores, and we're like, fuck yeah, we win. And then Zacchaeus scores, and Parker Washington catches up. Theo Johnson scores, and we're like, fuck yeah, we win.
The Zacchaeus touchdown was such bullshit. I was just watching that, just like, this is so freaking stupid.
Yeah. But Theo Johnson scores, and then we're like, "Fuck yeah, we win!" And then Juwan Johnson gets in, and then who is the last guy that we had? Rashee Rice scores a rushing touchdown right off the bat, and we're like, "Fuck yeah, we win!" And then Puka scores a 40-yard touchdown to catch up, and it was just like, thought I had won so many times today, ended up kind of breaking even. But this was an interesting slate because it was all these decisions were very thin. You know what I mean? Like everything was very close.
Man, I just did not fucking think Juwan Jennings versus these shitters was close. I gotta keep it real. I did not.
But Juwan Jennings' health, I mean, he literally played that game and came out halfway through the game and was like, "Yeah, I've had broken ribs and
but he's
all this stuff."
He's lying, dude. Let's keep it real, bro. He's lying. He doesn't have
a drama queen, Juwan.
Full week of practice yet this year. Like he's clearly playing injured. So like,
but they're still throwing him. They're still throwing him the ball though. He like, I mean, can't be impacting him that much.
It is. Yes, he's getting target share, but I would say like San Francisco overall passing volume is not what most people have expected it to be this year and other things. Juwan Jennings, I would say, obviously, like if he was fully healthy, if San Francisco was passing the way that they used to, yes, I'll take a 25% target share from Juwan Jennings all day long. But I think Parker Washington was one of those guys. I mean, he's had multiple games before this week with double-digit targets. And I think most people thought Parker Washington is just going to be like a 3, 4, 5 target guy. And it's like, no, Parker Washington can see legitimate volume from this team. And I don't know. I think Parker Washington healthy with all of the question marks of volume in Jacksonville. I don't think Parker Washington was a bad play, but I understand.
No, I'm not saying, I think that Puka, Parker Washington, I think that Trevion Henderson over Tracy. I think that all of these teams that people played in these trains were super defensible. I don't think any of those options were totally fine. I honestly, the only thing I think would have been really, really bad would have been to have not played one of Rice or Puka at all, but also have not played Bowers, because like playing
there's no way to do that, right?
No, because some of the optimals had like Warren in it. Some of the optimals had Tucker Kraft in them and stuff. And I think doing that instead of Bowers would have been like egregious. Like,
yeah, gigabad. I mean, I thought both Bowers and Kittle were underpriced. Like Kittle was 4,800, Bowers was 5K. Obviously, we haven't seen Kittle like eat since he came back like super hard, but these are guys that are normally like 5.5 to 6K. So I definitely thought there was like value in getting those guys, but you know, they both have question marks. Obviously, Kittle, you know, hasn't really like been eating that hard since he came back. Brock Bowers, he says he's good, but we really haven't seen him be good so far this year. So it was kind of hard to take those guys over the every week eaters in Puka Nacua and Rashee Rice at wide receiver too. As it turns out, Brock Bowers was healthy, and Brock Bowers fucking ate at 5K while we paid up, you know, 7,600 and 8,500 for these guys who aren't even as good as Bowers. It's crazy.
At 10:15 a.m., I texted you guys this team: Dart, CMC, Tracy, Monangai, Chase, Pittman, Jennings, Bowers, Falcons. I mean, would that team have scored 200 points? I think
because Pittman made it too. Pittman got the bonus.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know. I just like, okay, honestly,
that would have been a bad team.
It would not have, because Bowers is fucking Puka Nacua, but he was a $5,000 tight end.
Yeah, Bowers for 5K is so much better than Theo Johnson for 3,500. It's
dude, it was a $1,500 difference between Bowers and Theo Johnson, and we were just like, yeah, dude, gotta get Theo Johnson in there. I think it was ultimately, Nate, and you'll probably disagree with me, but it really did feel like missing the forest for the trees thing with Bowers, where like you just kind of want to play that guy when he's 5,000. I don't, maybe that's too much of a tournament mindset or whatever, but my God, man.
No, I mean, you're probably right. I mean, the Bowers expected production at 5K probably ends up being like salary adjusted, the best outside of the running back position, the best like salary adjusted expectation on the slate. So maybe, yeah, but the builds were so clear.
They were
what wide receivers you were looking at, and getting Bowers, like you would have had to do something like fading. Like, that's why Bowers was only 8% owned in these cash games. Like I don't even, you weren't going to play Pittman, Rice, and Tracy. Like, I don't know.
Guys, are we fish? Well, me and you, Davis, are we fish for playing Tyrone Tracy instead of Travion Henderson? I mean, Tyrone Tracy, I kind of thought he was like going to be the guy, just kind of take over kind of Scatabo's row, and Singletary would kind of take over the backup stuff. And like Tracy was like not involved that hard at all.
Here's the thing about Tracy that I think people seem to forget. Tracy sucks. Like, Tracy isn't this efficient person that everybody thought he was. It's why I didn't understand the Scatterbo hate coming into the year.
Yeah, Tracy stinks.
Everybody's like, how's Scatterbo going to make it? How's Scatterbo going to make it? He's behind Tracy. Like, Tracy is some like talented rusher or something. And it's like, so like, I not that I believe that Travion Henderson necessarily has proven it either, but like,
well, Travion Henderson, we know for a fact, has not proven it, to the point that they were using a second-year undrafted free agent over him at the goal line.
I mean, I very well understand that, but I just, the Tracy thing, it was not a slam dunk with Tracy the way it was with Monangai.
Correct. That I completely agree with that.
Oh yeah. I mean, Monunga was 90 point something percent owned. The 10% of people that did not play Tracy in cash are like paying the rake. Like, thank you guys. Like, that was maybe the most obvious play of the year. I mean, I don't understand how people didn't play him. I played him in every tournament team in cash. Like, it was just like, that's the free square. Don't overlook it.
Yeah. No, he was a total free square. I like I said, we are already into the part of the year where more or less everyone's playing pretty good. The teams are fairly obvious. The salaries are so tight. Like, the teams I ran on Run the Sims this morning, the top 100 teams were all within 1.5 points, which just means, you know, you're more or less kind of flipping coins. And honestly, I don't mind taking the less owned permutation of those. Like, I thought that Jennings and Rice would be less owned than Puka and Washington, or Puka and Zacchaeus with a different defense.
I did too.
Which I was fine with, because I thought I mean, I thought what would happen in the games is what did happen, that the Rams would get up big and that they would not be throwing in the second half and that the Chiefs would be down and they would be throwing. Now it just so happened that Puka, like the thing with Puka is he is going to be a big part of them smashing. Like you're not going to get it would be very abnormal for the Rams to be up 28-0 and him for not to have a great fantasy game. So he's still going to get his points. Sammy, your audio is messed up. I don't know what's wrong with it.
Yeah, overall, I think with Nakua, it really was like my only fear with Puka was the second half of the game, New Orleans not keeping up, and then ultimately them not needing to throw the second half, which ultimately is kind of what happened. But he also got hurt. But
he got hurt
with Nakua. The Nakua Rice thing. The only reason I even considered it for a second was the fact that the Chiefs are going to be throwing this entire game. Like you just knew the Chiefs were going to be in a competitive game environment the whole way, where you couldn't. It was very easy to see this game getting out of hands for New Orleans. So I don't know. I still think Puka was worth it. I think Chase was worth it, and then I think you were just flipping coins at these cheap receivers.
Yeah, I mean, you like the difference between I did feel pretty confident in Jennings, but at the end of the day, that's like a 55-45 coin flip between him and Parker Washington. Because I saw the same Parker Washington stuff that everyone else saw, which is that Brian Thomas Jr. is a dusty little loser who just cannot be an alpha anymore unless Mac Jones is throwing him the ball. Travis Hunter's out. De'Ami Brown sucks. Tim Patrick sucks. They all suck. That was obviously a game that was just going to feature a lot of inefficient dropbacks, which is exactly what happened. I don't think I was ever going to play Zacchaeus. It would have been I guess had we not gotten the Monungai thing and had we not gotten the Trevion Henderson thing and it became an option that you were just needing salary, maybe I could have done Zacchaeus. But man, I mean, at the end of the day, he's still Olamide Zacchaeus.
Or just happen,
Yeah.
Bird.
Sammy,
your mic.
Something's wrong with your mic. Check your connection. Check your cord. I don't know. Did I learn anything? Did I learn anything from this slate?
I mean, I guess the only other question I would have had is a lot of people felt like they didn't want to do Johnson, or Theo Johnson because they, I don't know, didn't want to buy in on Dart too much, like the stack there. So they went with Juwan. But it's in my opinion, if you're already making the bet on Dart and you have a cheap tight end and you're just praying for a touchdown efficiency there, I don't really feel, I don't know. I didn't feel bad about going with Dart and Theo Johnson and cash, but I also triple stacked Geno in cash. So I don't know.
No, the 49ers have the least healthy defense in the world. They're they're all, it was a very good spot at home for the Giants. I just had another thought and then I totally lost it as it pertained. Xavier Worthy had a 20-yard reception at the end of the game on that last drive. If that would have been Rashee Rice, that would have been 20 yards to get to the bonus, point for the catch, 3 points for the bonus. We would have taken down.
Yeah, Rashee Rice scored 0 points with 11 minutes left in the game when the Chiefs had to throw. This was an all-time Mahomes got eaten up. The Chiefs got eaten up. I think Mahomes was 15 for 33 in this game.
They were terrible. It was miraculous they were bad up and down. The Bills had their number. Dude, your mic is cooked, Sammy.
Yeah. Normally me.
Yeah, normally.
All right. We're going to the computer microphone.
Okay.
What are we doing here? But yeah, dude, I mean the Bills they just rushed Mahomes and ate up the Chiefs O-line. Mahomes was scrambling all freaking day. Like they just didn't have it. And that was, I think on a normal day, like we thought this could be a big offensive game, Davis. And, you know, I really like Rashee Rice in that kind of setup, man.
This
ran
game,
bad.
this 18 fantasy point game is his worst fantasy game since 2023, and is going to bring down, if you do all the games from after his bye week of his rookie season until now, 18 PPR points will drag his scoring average down. So I'm just, you know, I thought, I guess Levitan calls them the must plays, the want plays. Like Rashee was definitely a want play, not a must play, but he was, I wanted it pretty bad. I wanted it pretty bad. And I'd do it again. I don't know. I don't feel bad about this team. I honestly, frankly, I thought the Jennings play was super sharp. And when he scored, I was like, yeah, these fucking idiots with old.
Yeah, I did too. We're so fucking smart. Like, yes.
Yeah.
God.
Like he had 3 catches.
So lucky. I wish Puka would have just put a 40 burger on your face. Like
he went 7 for 95 and a touchdown. Like, I mean, he did awesome.
And I mean, look, you know, Puka is like a 50-50 shot any given game to go to the locker room. So you know what you're dealing with there. You had
Washington also ended with like 93 yards away. He was like,
honestly,
because they went to overtime. That goddamn game was 9-6 going into the fourth quarter. Like, you know, this Bowers stuff, this Parker Washington stuff, like it was all trash.
I feel stupid. I feel stupid for not making more of a point to get Bowers in there. Honestly, though, I like shout out to the Parker Washington players, because if you just played it because the computer told you to play it, I have no respect for you. But if you played Parker Washington because you're like, Brian Thomas Jr. sucks, this guy's been pretty good in like spot duty before, there is an obvious fill-in for the Travis Hunter stuff, and Travis Hunter was going to become a bigger part. Like Travis Hunter was in the shell of my cash lineup when I built it on Tuesday or whatever. Like, cause I thought he was an insanely strong play. And if you thought Parker Washington was going to play that role, then, you know, shout out to you for that. And then speaking of the Puka injury, real bad run for Nate here in the 3-point stance, ends up in third, unblocked by Puka Nacua. Our boy with Caleb Williams, CMC, Jalen Warren, Puka, DJ Moore, Zacchaeus Bowers, Monangai, and the Broncos defense. Loves to pay up for those defenses.
Terrible run out, Nate. This is a good team. When Caleb Williams caught two passes in this game, you know, one of them I believe was thrown. The touchdown was thrown by DJ Moore to Caleb Williams. That's just so sick. I mean, this team is like the Bears onslaught for you to think of GPP with the Bears onslaught. And Brock Bowers is just so goddamn on brand for you, man. You won 5K with this lineup. It's a great lineup. You deserve that. I'm happy for you, but it should have been first place. Like tough run out.
Yeah. The injury run out was a bummer, but yeah. It's interesting to tournaments because they had rising all week, and his ownership that much. Going to play Monangai, but then it was like just getting exposure to this game felt like it wasn't going to be that played, and so coming in at 10%, and then obviously both DJ Moore and Zacchaeus coming in single digits. And then you're just able to jam in basically the highest projected plays around it with McCaffrey, Nacua, Bowers, Broncos D. And then I think Jalen Warren was probably my favorite of the third running back plays of the week. I think a lot of people played Vidal, Travion, but I thought Warren was probably my favorite of the running back pivots. But
I played a lot of Vidal.
Yeah, I did too. Nate, talk to me a little bit about why you chose not to play Jamar Chase in this lineup. You know, we've learned from the Sims that we really don't need to be bringing it back. We don't need to force bringbacks, but Jamar Chase being one of the best price adjusted plays on the slate, and a natural bring back in this like major Bears onslaught, why did you choose to go Puka instead of Jamar?
So one of the things that I was doing all week was trying to figure out at what ownership Monangai would be a bad play. And in all of the fields that I was creating, I was just trying to like basically inflate Monangai. It was like I was creating just to see if he was still a good play. Percent that I could get him to that it would play him. It would not play him with Chase or with it would play him in very specific ways. And this was one of those ways where it was like anytime I was getting Monangai in tournaments, it was always not with Chase. And so in all of the fields that I was generating, it just looked like all of the Chase was going to be played with Monangai. And so just playing Monangai without Chase just immediately separates you from the but yeah, I mean, it would like, it obviously makes sense, but I would say like, I don't think we've had a spot where we knew a running back was going to be like 70% played and still a good play.
Yeah. Which I think makes sense because I'm going to pull up my team in the red zone, which is that same chalk ass build where I played Caleb, Rome, and Jamar Chase. I played Rashee Rice on this team. The thing that I did to try and make this team different that I ended up not doing was I did Kareem Hunt instead of Trevion Henderson or Kamani Vidal or any of these guys. And I did the Raiders defense instead of the Falcons defense, getting the salary leverage there.
I thought that was sharp.
In the end, this team was just not. It wasn't unique enough. But the thing that I thought was interesting about these teams was that the Caleb stuff I did come in underowned less than what I thought it was going to be because so many people ended up playing the Mahomes stuff. Like Mahomes was like so owned. So Caleb Williams, Monangai, Tyrone Tracy, Roma Dunze, Rashee Rice, Jamar Chase, George Kittle, Kareem Hunt, and the Raiders. The tilting thing about this is if you show me the final score of this game, what was it? 40, 44, for whatever the fuck it was, 80, 85 combined points. I mean, I probably lock Rome in every lineup.
Yeah.
Rome getting 0 points
That's
in
crazy.
all of these Caleb Williams teams is just so nuts. And I loved Loveland last week. Loveland, I had Loveland on all these teams last week. I'm like, oh man, I'm so sharp here. Loveland's like 3% owned last week. I'm all over it. I'm like, Komet's back this week, and Komet gets re-injured in this game, which I guess you probably do need to play is like more of a possibility. That's kind of something that you forget in the middle. Nate, I think you, by the way, have too many windows open. I think you got like 900 lines of code running.
Oh, crap.
I will say, I mean, obviously this is in retrospect, but doing the double tight end with these Bowers, these Bowers teams with the Bears, and then just having like Loveland in that second spot and paying up everywhere else. I mean, that wins the Millie Maker.
Utica of runthesims.com did in fact win the Millie Maker with a Colston Loveland Brock Bowers team.
Jesus, that's sick.
Honestly,
Jesus Christ.
Double tight end this week was so sharp.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, the bummer about Rome was not only his performance, but also the fact that he came in steamed. He was the Bears receiver that was twice the ownership of everybody else. And so he just tanked your entire stack.
Well, and you had that onslaught with DJ Moore in that spot. Like, wow.
And DJ Moore and Olamide came in at single digit owned. And then Rome was the fancy one that everybody played Caleb with.
Because Rome kind of fit in the construction of the week, which is you have your one expensive wide receiver, whether it be Chase, whether it be Puka. Then you have a mid-tier slot to play with. Then you do your cheap running backs. And then this doesn't have Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs on it. It has the 3 value running backs, which I did like. I did like doing the 3 value running back move instead of dedicating one of those slots to CMC. And if I could do the slate over knowing the ownerships, I would do more of these types of builds. Yeah,
I do wonder if there is something to be thought of like when we're looking at teams that we think are going to catch steam, it's typically centered around one receiver. So like last week, it was Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton. But if you played Bo Nix and Troy Franklin or Bo Nix and Mims, those guys came in under. And so if you avoid the main receiver that kind of buoys with the ownership, I think a couple weeks ago it was Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas. But if you would have played, who was it that week that went off? Was it Strange? I can't remember. The other Jacksonville receiver that went off, it was like you came in way under owned. So yeah.
All right, let's go to Mr. Whirling Dervish here. Why don't you highlight this absolute masterpiece in the Big Spy?
Thanks, man. I knew I wanted to play Flacco doubles. I felt like Flacco would come in very under-owned because of his injury status. It was pretty unclear that he was going to play this week. He had a sprained AC joint in his throwing shoulder, and people were like, nah on that. But I thought, him and T. Higgins would come in like super under-owned. And this is just one of these auto stacks. Like this game was a game that you wanted to stack. Most people took the other side of this. Obviously, that did really well as well. But, I love getting Flacco, Chase, and Higgins at super low ownership. I thought that was just going to print. I played Monungai in this lineup. Christian McCaffrey, Parker Washington at receiver, at the third receiver, Theo Johnson at tight end, Kamani Vidal at the flex. Not sure about that one. He obviously didn't play very well, but this was certainly a smash spot for him. But his ownership was like mega high. As you can see here on the screen, he's almost 30%, about 13% more than we projected. So he didn't really fit like kind of some of these chalk builds. And so I thought it might not like get steamed as hard as it did, and it did. And when he fails with 3 points, it kind of like blows up the whole thing when you're at 30% ownership. So it was a little bit of a tough scene, but this team did finish. It was like top 50 for a while in the SPY, ended up finishing like 184th. So solid cash in there, but certainly the Flacco, Chase, Higgins thing was great, especially when Higgins is the one that scores all the points because he's 3% owned. So, Higgins scored 2 touchdowns, got the bonus and a 2-pointer. Like that was just hot fire. And I thought maybe this had a chance to take it down, but I knew once Kamani Vidal didn't get there that I wasn't going to think. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the Vidal stuff sucks because what sucks for 2 reasons. One, it sucks that he was the guy who failed. What sucks on top of it is that everyone had the same idea getting him up to 30% owned. Everyone had the same idea of, I'm not going to play Tyrone Tracy. I'm not going to play Trevion Henderson. I'm not going to play Kareem Hunt. I'm going to play Kamani Vidal. Great spot. Jonathan Taylor just scored a bazillion points against the Titans, so he ends up being mega steamed. I actually did a couple things. Like I played Genty in a couple, like just like to get off this. And none of my teams were any good today because they all had Chiefs players on them. But I do think that it was one of, like, if you think about it, you could have pictured the Vidal steam coming this way. It would have just been hard to know it was going to be him.
Well, I mean, it's almost just like, what players do you like? What players do people think are good? When you say the name Kamani Vidal versus Jalen Warren, one of those players, we immediately are like, one is good at football, one is old dust. And no one wants to play Jalen Warren. Everybody wants to play Vidal.
Everybody. Yeah.
Nate, let me ask you a question.
Think of Diami Brown. No one wants to play Diami Brown. Or think of Chicago. No one wants to play Zaki. Yeah. So just go to that and then just do the opposite of what you feel most comfortable with, and you're going to get steam going your way.
Let me ask both of you guys a question. This is not just hindsight armchairing. but I did consider Loveland in this lineup. I've been big on Loveland like since the preseason draft season. I really like him. Think he's super talented. Certainly with this lineup, it created two bringbacks, Manungai and Loveland, and it didn't sim quite as well. It didn't project as well, but I considered doing it, and I ended up not. Obviously, we know now that Loveland smashed, so I'm trying not to let that color things. But I really did consider having him in there at tight end. What are your thoughts on that? Considering the pre-lock sims didn't like it as much. Like, would you just go with the sim there, or would you kind of?
It's really hard to play this back because our brain has already watched there. But the reality was, if Kmet doesn't get hurt, that Loveland thing could have been like that very easily wasn't in like a 75% of the range of outcomes, where Theo Johnson coming in at 12%, knowing he's going to run every snap and knowing he's going to run for Jackson Dart, I think Theo Johnson was a much better play at 12% than Loveland. But obviously the way the slate played out, Loveland looks way sharper.
Yes. And I mean, well, the funny thing about the Loveland thing is if the Bengals just handle their end of clock stuff appropriately, Loveland doesn't even ever get that touchdown in the end. Like
which they're never going to do though. And then they're never going to tackle him when he catches the ball over the middle and there's two defenders there. Like the Bengals are going to bangle. So you need to factor that in.
Yes. Like Loveland. I mean, I part of this is like being colored by like I thought I was so genius for playing Loveland as much as I did last week and no one else playing him, and I'm a little bit tilted about it that he smashed so hard this week and that I didn't even really think about it. Like I played him a little bit on Underdog where like he was like totally like undrafted or whatever, but could have been better. All right, Nate, closing us out here with the post lock sim ROI on your 3-point stance team.
Yeah. I mean, we already broke it down, but yeah, DJ came in way under owned, and Olamide. No one wants to play DJ and Olamide. When you think about Caleb Williams, you want to play Rome. So Rome got this team. I avoided that, and then the Jalen. Some of these ownerships are like what I put in the field because I'm trying to play what I think. I'm trying to position myself for what the worst case is. So if I want to play Jalen Warren, if I run him in a field at 30% and he still pops up as a good play, then I know I'm protected and hedged. And then when he comes in at 14%, he ends up being one of the best plays on the slate. So I try to run things a little hotter towards the players that I already think I'm going to be playing. So that's why Kyle Manungai, like I think I had him projected for like 50% owned in this contest, which was way hotter than most ownership projections would have been, but still that was way under.
I want to point something out here, and kind of at risk of sounding like a broken record because we've alluded to this over the last few weeks, but Nate's done a really good job. When you look at his lineups, you can see it here on screen. So many of his players are below ownership, and when we're dealing with pre-lock sims, it reminds me a lot of poker where you can run solves. But playing like the GTO solves, like unless you're playing it against people who are also playing like the GTO strategy, they're not going to be optimal. And so really the next step is like node locking, right? Oh, the population does this. The population doesn't check raise enough in these spots. Therefore, my response here is to like change my C betting frequency, whatever, from like what the solver says. And it's kind of similar with this, having a feel for who's going to go over-owned and under-owned compared in comparison is really, really, really important. You're playing more exploitative in terms of like, okay, here I know what baseline is. I'm going to run a sim based on this baseline. But really, if I think guys like Zacchaeus and Jalen Warren are going to come in way under-owned, that changes the equation. So Nate, you're kind of hopping in and out a little bit with your audio. It's one of our worst between you and me. One of our worst.
It's honestly one of our worst efforts technologically as a group, maybe ever. Honestly,
Oh, great!
This is like there was a show we did when I was on vacation with my wife. We were in Florida, and I recorded it from the hotel room the next morning, like trying to like run the solver post contest lock sims. That was like really, really bad. We're pretty close.
Pretty close, but I'd love, Nate, for you to, if you can do it without glitching out too hard, like close like 5 tabs before you do it. Are you adjusting ownership like pre-lock and then rerunning sims based on that?
Yeah, so I'll run the original, like I'll take ownership projections from a couple sites, I'll aggregate them, and I'll build a field off of that. And then I will build a bunch of lineups and say what sims well versus that. And I'll look at my most owned players in those sims. And then I'll create a new field and I'll increase all of their ownerships a bunch to see if I'll still get those guys or if those guys were fragile plays. And if those guys are still end up in my fields, that means that I can, even if ownership goes against me 15%, 20%, they're still going to be good plays. And then if ownership
like
goes,
Manungai, for example.
Yep. And then when you do that enough times, you just go A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. Eventually you get to the point where you go, I don't think people are going to be building fields this way. And then you find those players like DJ Moore, Olamide, or Jalen Warren. And it's like, oh, people are going to go Rome, Vidal, or and guys like that versus some of these dust balls. So
Sammy, if you want to do that, this is the only place I know that does it like this, but at Run the Sims, you can adjust the ownerships to whatever you think. So you can, okay, Manungai is not going to be 44%. He is going to be 80%, whatever. You can run that. And then when you click the sim button, it will actually adjust for that in the field. Whereas when you change the ownership on, I guess I don't know Saber, but other publicly available ones, it doesn't change the field's ownership.
Most publicly available sites, because field generation is so difficult, they give you pre-fields. Like they'll run some fields for the Millie Maker or whatever, and they'll say, this is your field. And you can adjust projection, but you can't adjust the field. Typically, adjusting field lineups is much more difficult because then you get your stacks wrong and other things. Even if your percentage is right, oh, you make Kyle Manungai 80%. Yeah, but if in 80% of your fields, he's never played with Caleb Williams or he's never stacked well, it doesn't matter how right your ownership projections are. It's also like what lineups they're played in. So it takes a lot to do field generation.
Yes. So it's just very hard to do, which is why most places don't offer it. And it's why the Run the Sims field generation tool is not free. So if you want it, you gotta pay for it. Although I think it's only $25 a month if you only want to run 25 lineups, which is actually, I think, a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I don't have any affiliation for Run the Sims, but the ability to do that, I think, is mega valuable, and that's not a high price point at all.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't know because I have access to the full thing, and I can just do whatever I want with it because I do have an affiliation with Run the Sims. So maybe it would be really annoying if you only had the 25 lineup generator tool or whatever. But it's pretty nice to be able to adjust the projections and then get an adjusted field based off of that. Also, by the way, just a reminder to you guys, just another very easy cash on FanDuel.
We almost got through the show without, look at my FanDuel lineup. Check this out. I played so shitty and I still won everything.
No, I played Brian Thomas Jr. and ended Tucker Kraft's career on FanDuel. and it didn't even, I didn't play Tyrone Tracy. So you don't play Tyrone Tracy. Although I did play Mahomes, which is very funny.
This lineup made money?
Just easily cashed. Yeah.
You don't have any good players in it.
Oh, you know what? And I'm wrong. It's 5 lineups on the lowest price, whatever that is on Run the Sims. So there's I think it's 5 lineups, 25 lineups, 300 lineups, then unlimited lineups. So
good bait and switch.
There you go. Good bait and switch. All right, everyone. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And I will be back with all you guys tomorrow. And this will probably be the last show of this iteration of Three Dudes for a while, because I am having a child. Really, basically, like, could have happened today, could happen tomorrow, could happen whenever. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna.
We're. This is the last show, maybe, of Davis Maddock being a child. The next time he is on stream, he will be a man. This is very.
It could literally be whenever. I will post on X, the Everything app, when the streams are going to stop, so you guys will know. But love all you guys. Appreciate everyone, and we'll see you back real soon.